Good morning. So I have this picture in my office that I was given a couple years back, um, and it is a focus of kind of the next couple of, well, actually today's, but sorry about that. So I'm looking at sharing what it means to be a person of faith, um, and by that I don't mean like righteously or better than someone else. But I was thinking this past week, I've been working on trying to figure out the ways to teach my kids as they're getting older, my teenagers specifically, about what it means to be people of faith. And there's a lot of confusing things out there, and so I kind of wanted to specify for them, and I thought maybe you will be interested. So today I'm looking at courage. And I think there's quite a few scriptures that look to courage, specifically the one that's quoted on that plaque. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Do not be afraid is one of the most common phrases throughout the Old and New Testaments. These poignant, if our God is for us, then who can stand against us? Be courageous in the Lord. These passages flow from Deuteronomy to 1 Peter. And the point behind them, I think, is that we're digging into who God is and what is there. But I also think that there are definitely times when what should be considered a great strength has been corrupted, right? So like everything has its negative side that appears to be the same thing or tries to be the same thing. And so I guess what I'm talking about here is, there's courage and there's so standing up for what is right, following in the footsteps of God. But then there's also this sense of super stubbornness, right? Like the difference between standing up for what is right and then refusing to listen to someone else who might have a different perspective than us. There's so much difficulty right now. Like courageousness is this sense of what is it? Am I willing truly to be challenged? And in the midst of that, can I stand in this place and hold this space where I might be wrong? This is how I see courage, especially right now. And courage is one of those things that, in the face of adversity, you can persevere. But courage requires wisdom as well. It requires this sense of listening and this sense of what does God really want from me, want for me, and want to lead me in this time. But I think there's these moments where we believe that we're being courageous and it seems more self-righteous and it's definitely more about ourselves, right? Like claiming that we're standing up against someone else, standing up against injustice, or no, that's not the right word for it. Where we're trying to claim that we're being courageous by not listening to other people, like we won't let their thing come into our lives, come into our psyche, that we're not willing to hear the other. And this is rife throughout our culture right now, everywhere, that we aren't willing to hear, many people are not willing to hear the point behind Black Lives Matter. Or they believe in the concept, but the execution is really hard to dig into. Courageousness is sitting in a space where you might be wrong. And I spent a lot of time on that and in those arenas, not always doing it well, to be clear. But there's this sense that we need to be faithful. I hate using the word need. It feels like I'm demanding. But courageousness is standing up for what's right. And it takes wisdom because we need to be willing to be wrong. Not as in like we need to approach every issue as though we could be wrong, right? This is that we have thought critically. If we're going to stand up for something, and in a way, have we looked at what's actually there? Have we listened? And Proverbs is rife with this insistence that the wise listen to rebuke, the wise listen to those who disagree with them, the wise learn, and so courageousness is not standing against what is all around us. Courageousness is being willing to confront in the midst of difficulty, in the midst of social pressure, in the midst of caring for people. And what I found is the hardest, the moments of courage that are needed the most are with people that you respect and appreciate. It's the people you love and care for. That when you have to confront somebody, or when there's this sense of, I believe that this other person needs some help, or I believe that they're doing something that can be harmful to themselves or others, that to confront them takes way more courage than to stand up and holler about to people we don't know, right? It's a lot easier to be courageous when there's not a chance that we could be harmed or that our lives could be put in a place of major change. So this has been the least eloquent of my devotions, but I guess as we're sitting in this space right now, I invite you to stand courageously upon the words of God. From Pentecost, where the Apostle Luke lifted up the names of every country represented in that space and said, and they spoke their languages, even going so far as like, there's some of those were like, and this fringe area near Cyrene. There's such a great need right now for compassion and grace, but courage to stand up for what is right, to stand. Maybe there's this point where we're willing to be courageous or need to be courageous when we're talking with family members who may be meaning well, but what they're saying is hurtful. And then we also need to be prepared that if someone says that same thing to us, right? Sometimes the hardest thing in the world is to read that article that we're pretty sure we're going to disagree with just from the beginning of the article. But I would invite you to be courageous in these days ahead, especially in this time right now. Because it's not easy for anyone, especially not for our brothers and sisters of color. So may you be courageous in the Lord today.